It's easy to look at the massive number of social media options out there and get a little overwhelmed. I know I do. It can be easy to feel like if these numbers don't go up over here or over there, then my game will fail, my project will fail, I will fail. But our next speaker is here with a salient reminder. Social media is not just about getting numbers up, it's about connecting to people. And connecting to people is powerful and meaningful. The creator of Game Devs for Good, a developer at Staryoke Games, and Game Devs of Color Expo's very own social media rock star, please welcome to the stage Alexia Mohabir.
Hello, my name is Alexia Mohabir, and this is my talk on how to build community in a crumbling social media landscape. Let's start by taking a look at the current state of the internet and social media. It's become more centralized, aka we are all expected to visit only a few websites for everything, which has led to more competition for our attention. It's become increasingly more profit-driven, which has meant more ads, more focus on benefits for shareholders over a site's user base, and algorithms that value quantity over quality, virality over steady interaction, and engagement over connection. All which leads to a seemingly endless cycle of destruction of platform after platform and our relationships with them. Despite the millions of us using social media, we often feel incredibly isolated. Sharing our works online can feel like we're scaling a cliff alone, reaching no one, as we desperately try to keep up with and appease a system that does not care about us, trying to optimize ourselves to succeed. We are pushed to focus on the numbers, the metrics, followers, likes, impressions, trends, everything, while trying not to fall into despair or burnout. I know this firsthand. I'm a designer, artist, and game dev myself. I currently work as the community manager for the indie game Midautumn, as well as community manager and merch shop manager for Game Devs of Color Expo. I've created a number of community spaces, such as Game Dev for Good, and make indie games with my partner as Staryoke Games. I also run a merch shop called Woe and Grow. In short, I've spent a lot of time trying to build community online for a number of different brands and projects, and I've learned a few things in the process that I want to share with you. A few years ago, I ran my first Kickstarter for an enamel pin collection themed around frogs with socks. It was a success, meeting its initial goal of $316 and exceeding it with the final result being $1,653 from 70 backers. Both not insane numbers, but big enough to make it happen. And that's when it hit me. I had the realization that, wow, 70 individuals, some giving as little as $2, some as much as 50, and most giving somewhere in the middle, collectively made this project happen. That those people and their money, no matter how little in the grand scheme of things, were more than I could have ever done and were enough to allow my project to succeed. It also showed me that even for my silly little idea to make frogs with socks pins, there were people out there who were interested in supporting it. Beyond the numbers are individual people who together made this happen. Building community is what breaks the cycle. Together, we hold the power to succeed. So now, how do we go about building that community? You must know your goals and your values. In other words, what are you aiming for and what do you care about? As a creator, for your individual project, or for using social media. They should be as specific as possible. So not just, oh, I want to be an indie developer, but I want to create and ship my 2D platformer on PC without crunching. Or I want to use social media to promote and sell my game. They should also be realistic to what your time, energy, and resources allow. You are not a massive multi-million-dollar company with its own marketing team, and you do not have to be. Aim within your means rather than stretching yourself too thin. And think about what you are building your community around. Once you know your goals and values, you can choose what tools will best help you achieve them. Remember that social media is a tool for you to use, not the other way around. Don't try to make yourself fit into it, but rather find ways to fit it to your needs. Research your available options and spend time learning their strengths, weaknesses, and uses. How does TikTok differ from YouTube? What is Tumblr good for versus Instagram and vice versa? Leverage your knowledge and experience, whether you're an individual creator or a team. Are you good at video editing or know a lot about a specific platform? Use that. Don't feel the need to be everywhere doing everything. Are you trying to promote a game you're selling? Are you trying to share your journey learning a new skill? Are you trying to find fellow game devs to talk to? These are all different aims and likely require different platforms to best help them succeed. It's also important to think beyond social media. There are other alternatives online and in person that may be a better fit for your needs, such as crowdfunding sites, conventions, newsletters, blogs, forums, email blasts, etc. Be creative. For example, when Sherbeen, the project lead for Midautumn, hired me as community manager, we discussed what Midautumn was as a project and what we wanted our community to look like. Our goal was to build and grow a community that was positive and receptive to the diverse Asian diaspora and LGBTQ+ perspectives present in the game, and create a place where it could grow steadily and receive support as it made its way through early access, which is a very different pace than typical launches. With our resources, it also made sense to start with only one platform that we can build from. With the game's focus on narrative and characters, the decline of Twitter as it was still known at the time, as well as my prior knowledge, we chose Tumblr to be our best fit. Once you choose your tools and know their strengths, weaknesses, and uses, you can decide how to adapt them for your use. While there are endless guides for do's and don'ts, many of which are out of date within a couple of months, the best approach I've found is to make and break your own rules. There is no one right way to use or not use social media and other online tools. Experiment with what you post, how you post, when you post. Pay attention to what's working for you and feels right for your goals and values. Try new things. Keep learning and adapting as you go instead of trying to follow a set formula for perfection. Aim for sustainability and what's doable for you, especially long term. If you can only post once a week, do that. If you need a break, do that. Try to have fun with it. Remember, it's a marathon, not a sprint. For example, with Midautumn, I've posted something new just about daily. Realize new here doesn't have to mean brand new content. It just has to be a new post. You should repost, reshare, and reuse assets as much as you can, but reframe them in new ways. For example, I can use the same graphic showcasing our characters, but in one post as a poll, one with fun facts about the characters, and one about their behind-the-scenes design process. I made use of Tumblr's queue system to reshare older posts alongside new ones to increase the chances people will see it while also keeping up the variety. I also made use of Tumblr's extensive tagging system to search and test what tags were relevant and effective for our game to reach people. People also use tags on Tumblr to often leave comments, which helped me to see in real time what people felt about the game and what specific things seemed to excite them most. Being able to include hyperlinks allowed us to easily direct people to our Steam account and other sites and see how that impacted wishlist sales and demo plays. It's not just the numbers we're focusing on here, but the human action. Did more people share this? Did more people actually click the link and play the game? Features like Tumblr's reblog web, asks, and polls all helped us to monitor responses and interact with people. Utilize your tool's features to its fullest where you can. If the platform you're using allows you to post photos, videos, polls, etc., then experiment with those things, especially if they're new features. Tumblr's paid promotion option, Tumblr Blaze, was new at the time, and we tried it to positive success multiple times compared to promotion on other platforms. Lastly, build a longer form narrative. Instead of trying to just post individual one-off posts, think about how they connect to tell the larger story. Are you working toward a release date? Maybe share content as part of a countdown event each day leading to release. Are you working on debugging? Share a weekly silly bug you found and update when you've squashed it. Think about the who, what, when, where, and why of the story you're trying to tell. Let's look at some examples. The first is a creator named Liliums. She's grown a successful business selling a variety of products primarily online. But she doesn't post in the Instagram grid daily or focus on curated aesthetic product photos. Instead, she does a lot of shorter vlog-like posts, including text posts on Twitter and stories on Instagram. She shows a lot more casual photos and videos of her products in person, with her holding them or interacting with them. She talks to her audience, shows behind the scenes of her workspace, things that inspire her and that she enjoys, such as trying a variety of snacks, and showcases upcoming work in progress stuff. We get to see the journey and ongoing narrative rather than just a list of ads to buy the items. Another creator is Andy J. Pizza. He's primarily an illustrator. He's not very active online, does not post daily, weekly, or even monthly much of the time, but he does consistently work on projects such as his creative pep talk podcast. He often interviews other creators. He's created a series of illustrations called Invisible Things that he's continuously built on and recently created a book about. Notice how he focuses on what he's passionate about rather than just trying to follow a creative trend. Another example is the artist Scott Christian Saba, who's built up a following on YouTube, especially through shorts recently. Instead of using viral TikTok sound clips or flashy clickbait titles, he focuses on showing bits of his process, including leaning into mistakes and giving encouraging advice to his audience. Notice he creates series such as painting a different Lord of the Rings character every day or painting the 80s from A to Z. He takes breaks when he needs to from those daily challenges and communicates with his viewers about it openly and honestly, rather than just trying to power through and put on a persona of perfection. And another example, Shelby. Shelby is an Australian ceramics artist who makes and sells pottery. She's found success through TikTok and YouTube. She showcases her creative process through narrative with a clear beginning, middle, and end, and has come up with creative and engaging series such as her mystery mold series, where she buys and uses ceramic molds without knowing what they will make. She edits 2 versions of each episode, one for shorts that shows the abridged story, and one full-length video showing the more in-depth process. She also speaks to her audience. Beyond just explaining her process, she shares tips, tricks, and feelings about each project. She leans into what she loves and what inspires her, including Australian identity and her love for Australian fauna. Notice how all these examples, despite their different mediums, platforms, and approaches, focus on connecting with their audience and coming across as a human being rather than a brand. Arguably, the biggest thing you need to truly build community is to connect with others. Whatever tools you choose to use or how you choose to use them, aim to engage earnestly and honestly. Don't just post and run. Aim to build mutual relationships, especially with other creators in your peer group, such as fellow indie devs working on their current game, perhaps. Encourage and boost one another. Don't just focus on sharing your stuff. Interact with other people and what they are sharing. Again, keep in mind your goals and values. When we help one another, we can all succeed. Utilize existing communities, such as GDOC Expo. Building a community is not just starting from scratch, it's building on what's come before you too. So look at what already exists, and if you don't see something, make it yourself. For example, I created a Discord community server called Game Dev for Good to allow me to connect with and support fellow indie devs in ways that countered harmful industry trends. It doesn't have to be big to be impactful. And lastly, go beyond social media and the internet. Build a connection in person wherever possible. Even if you can't travel or be in person, virtual events and meetups can function here too. The point is connection. So many platforms have come and gone, and yet we're still here. If all the sites blew up tomorrow, we would still be here. The people on the other side of those numbers are still out there ready to connect with you. That is the refocus. So do not despair. We've been here before. We will keep finding ways to make connection. There's no one answer, no quick solution or secret trick. So instead of trying to do whatever new platform correctly, aim to build the kind of connection that will outlive the individual website and will make you memorable to people. Together, we can forge ahead. Thank you for listening. There's a lot more to be said on this topic, but I hope that this was helpful in getting you to rethink your relationship to social media and community. Midautumn is currently in early access, meaning feedback right now is super helpful. We're also part of this year's GDOC Expo Steam sale, so now's the perfect chance to buy if you're interested. Plus, we have a free demo that you can try. You can also follow our Tumblr at Midautumn Game for more updates. And be on the lookout for Shervin's talk at this year's GDOC Expo as well. You can also follow my work at Woe and Grow. It's my merch shop. And my other accounts are more art focused and game dev focused, as well as you can check out my Discord community server, Game Dev for Good, if you're interested in potentially joining it. Thank you.
I hope this gave you a new, interesting perspective, or maybe reinforced a healthy one, about social media. Yes, there is some number crunching, some analysis, but it's about the people power, making human connections, and you don't have to be everywhere. You don't have to do everything. Being yourself is important and impactful. It's how you build communities. Communities like this one right here that we've all gotten to share together. Thank you so much for that talk, Alexia.